Hi, everyone. Welcome to Mentoring Mondays with our session from the Writing Center. If you just give us a couple more minutes, we're almost ready to go. Yeah, thank you. All set?
Yeah, I think we're all ready.
Okay. So, good afternoon, everyone. This is the February 28th version of Mentoring Mondays, and it's my great pleasure to introduce to you student worker Ariana Dizdael. Ariana is a business and entrepreneurship major in her third year, and she works here at the center, and she'll be introducing our visitor for the day. Ariana, it's all yours.
Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Mentoring Mondays. Today, I would like to give a warm welcome to our guest, Emily Kane. She'll be telling us all about the Writing Center and helping us with improving our own writing. Emily is one of the Writing Center coordinators. Her specialties at the center are line level corrections and concise writing. She loves animals, nature, sci-fi, fantasy, and macro photography.
Thank you. Hi, everybody. How are you?
Good. How are you?
I get to do a PowerPoint with you guys today, but mostly a conversation. First, about the Writing Center, what we are, what we do. We are a tutoring center with peer tutors who focus on writing. So any kind of writing assignment for any kind of course, you can bring it to us, and we can work with you on any kind of concern that you might have about it. So things like overall organization, setting up your outline, your paragraph structure, drafting the whole thing, or just a couple paragraphs if you like. Sentence structure, when it comes down to line level stuff, we can work with you on. Grammar, punctuation, vocabulary, citation is a big one that we work on a lot. Here's some information about us. I get to say next slide today. I've only ever controlled my own PowerPoints. So here's our location. We're in Willard de Loretto, across campus on the Willard side, 314. We're kind of tucked in a corner, but we have some signs pointing our direction. It's pretty easy to find us. Once you meet with us there in person, you'll be directed by our front desk assistant to work with your tutor. We generally do half-hour sessions, but we can extend it to an hour if necessary. Yeah, and we can meet in person or online. That website down there, CCSU on MyWC Online, that's our scheduling website. So any student that goes there, or anybody with a CCSU address, we work with some professors sometimes too, can go there, register for an account, and they'll be able to see our entire schedule from the day of to the end of the semester. They can make appointments. We do one appointment per day, but you can come back as many times, as many days as you like, to keep meeting with your same tutor or the other tutors if you want fresh pair of eyes on your assignments. So like I said, we're peer tutors, so mostly undergrads who have been taking classes like you guys. A couple of grad students, one in the English MA program and one in the TESOL, the Teaching English to Speakers of Other Languages program. And there's myself and one other coordinator, as well as our director, Dr. Fields, in the English department. Most days we're here 9 to 5. Oh, sorry. I'm trying to get through this introductory stuff as quickly as possible. We do have evening hours most semesters. This semester it's 6 to 8 p.m. online only. So through that website, once you make your appointment. It's very easy to do. You just click on the link that says join online consultation and you're there. But you can also come in person. So yeah, come by, see us in person or check us out online or call that number if you have any questions. All right, next slide, please. So first, let's talk about paragraph organization. So when Professor Mahoney asked me to present on clarity in writing, her main concern was paragraphs that can get a little bit out of control, making sure that each paragraph is succinct, gets to the point, and doesn't have anything extra in it. So I will start with what we generally do in writing classes here, the paragraph sandwich. This might be something that you have already learned here or maybe in a high school writing class. But when you feel like your paragraphs need some direction, this is a really good place to take it, to do these 3 parts. So this sandwich part refers to, I guess the filling of the sandwich is the evidence taken from your sources. And the pieces of bread are your ideas, so your topic sentence, your claim at the very beginning. Usually 1 sentence, it could be 2 sentences, depends how complicated it is. Then your evidence, so this is going to be whatever you are bringing in from your sources. This is usually for a research paper. Other kinds of papers are going to have evidence maybe from your personal life or arguments that you think will support it that don't necessarily come from a source, but are still the evidence for your topic sentence. Research papers most commonly is what we see. So the evidence is going to be from the sources. It's going to be paraphrased or quoted. Paraphrased being, in your own words, quoted being word for word in quotation marks, and always cited. You guys might be doing MLA style, APA style. Those are the most common ones here. There's also like Chicago or AMA. Anything that you can bring in, we have guidebooks on, or your tutor might have some of that memorized already. And then the last piece of the sandwich is the explanation. So we're coming back to your own wording, your own writing, your own ideas. So this might be the longest part of the paragraph. It's going to be your analysis based on whatever claim and evidence you have brought in to support that claim. And when you're done with this, you want to look back at your paragraph, make sure it all relates back to your topic sentence and you haven't moved on to a new topic. If you move on to a new topic, that might be a good idea to start a new paragraph with a new topic sentence. In each of these paragraphs, each of these topics is going to be a subpoint that goes to support your thesis statement, which is at the beginning of the paper, usually at the end of your first paragraph. All right, so I have brought in a nice practice paragraph that I liked, and I chose this one for both paragraph structure editing and also sentence editing because I think it has both features in one. So if you guys want to take a second and read this and then give me some suggestions as to how to fix this.
Lord, that is a long sentence.
Yeah, it is. How many lines is that one sentence?
About 7, I think. Good to read.
Yes.
It's quite a lot.
Yes. I was exhausted by the 3rd line.
What should we do with this?
I'm not saying.
Students, what should we do with this?
I think in the 3rd line where it says really very,
Mm-hmm.
you should take out one of those words.
One of them or even both of them?
I say both.
Yeah. This paragraph is a personal statement or a personal opinion. Depending on the assignment, you might want to just chop off the my humble opinion part.
Okay.
Or even in my opinion, you can take out humble or you can take out the whole thing. If it's your paper that you're submitting, your professor knows, unless you cited this as somebody else's idea, your professor knows that this is your perspective. Okay, good. What else should we remove here?
I have a question.
Mhm.
Do we have to mention CCSU twice?
Good, right? We don't need to. Usually if you are introducing the name of something that also goes by an acronym, you would write out the whole name first and then just put the acronym in parentheses after that to introduce it.
Well, I meant by like, it says, it should be noted by those promoting Central Connecticut State University that students who go to CCSU.
Yeah.
Would it be already implied that we're talking about students from Central since it says that's promoting Central?
That's for,
That's what
take
I
out the
was thinking.
whole, go to CCSU and just put who attend,
Mm-hmm.
finish with that.
Right.
Two.
Yeah, I just feel like,
No, really, this is a person who is petrified of not getting to the page limit.
Yeah. Honestly, we try and write like this when we want to see more formal and professional and meet the page limit, but shorter, straight to the point sentences are more professional.
Right.
Yes, this is only 2 sentences.
So I would say, let's see, those promoting Central Connecticut State University CCSU, Central Connecticut State University students should know they are fortunate to get an education in such a great area. What does in such a great area, like New
Yeah.
Britain?
That's an idea where the wording might be there, but the idea isn't there.
Like in New Britain?
Mm-hmm. Full
Or
disclosure,
Connecticut?
I stole this and it was originally a different college. So I don't know what area they were talking about at the time. I did cite.
So there, is it, so I think there are 2 different ideas here.
Mm-hmm.
What people promoting CCSU, what the departments promoting CCSU should know,
Mm-hmm.
and what students should know.
Yes. Then we got a few more words: internships, jobs, related to technology. Those are the most important parts of the sentence, right? Or the later parts of the sentence. So rewriting this, you might create some newer, shorter sentences about internships and first jobs, especially if related to technology, and you don't need in some way.
The first sentence is like way too long.
Yeah.
And
Even the second sentence.
they could just put a period round thing is, where it says, CCU are really fortunate to be getting an education, period,
Mm-hmm.
and then start being because of the blank, blank, blank.
The campus location, whatever.
Three things, and then put 2 commas, and then
Yeah.
a period, and then, I guess, they don't have to
It
write
would
all
not
that.
be wrong to say that this is not a minor perk. I have a headache.
Yeah.
So
Too
I am
much.
sitting grading this paper and my head is in my hands, okay? And I have just gotten up to make a cup of coffee or to pace or to go outside or shut my computer down because I just am overwhelmed.
Yeah. It's
Because
too
I
much.
can't figure out what the person is actually trying to say.
I'm the kind of writer who writes sentences, maybe not this extreme, but
Oh,
long
believe
ones.
me, yeah, I have been known to do that too. I mean, I would say CCSU students are fortunate to attend a university.
That allows them a
Oh,
great
no.
education.
CCSU students are fortunate to study in Connecticut, where many companies provide internships and later first jobs. Let's see, how about this?
I have more practice for you guys.
CCSU students are fortunate, especially if their chosen field is related to technology.
And
No, just take that, is related to technology. It doesn't say is in technology, it says is related, so technical writing, whatever. So CCSU students are fortunate, especially if their chosen field of study is related to technology, to study in Connecticut, where many dynamic companies provide internships and later first jobs.
There we go.
long sentence, but it's concise, but it's to the point.
It's better.
And
And
it's clear.
It's clear.
Some long sentences are okay.
Yeah,
I was
no,
gonna say,
I'm not the enemy of all long sentences.
Yeah.
I'm just the enemy of long sentences that give me a headache.
Right, so some long sentences are okay. Split it up between the long and the short ones. Get your paper a little bit.
And then the next sentence is fine. So the point is fine. I would say, this is a major perk.
Yes, remove that
That-
double negative.
This is a
Yeah, oh yeah, that is.
so this these opportunities are major perks that those promoting Central Connecticut State University, of which those promoting Central Connecticut State University should be aware.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, good. Next slide,
Yeah.
please. All right,
This is
so
fun.
we talked about paragraph organization. Let's get more specific into sentence structure. So here's your basic sentence structure: subject, verb, and then complement. Sometimes you might see object instead of complement. And here's some extras that you might add to it, but I want you to be aware of the basic sentence structure, that if your sentence is getting too long, you make sure that you have these 3 parts, and you can be okay to end it and move on to a new one. So subject is whoever or whatever is taking an action. The verb is the action, and the complement ends it. This isn't always necessary. I'll give you some examples. But a complement might explain how they did the action or what they did the action upon. That would be like the object of the sentence. Now you might add on some prepositional phrases which begin with prepositions. I give you some examples. Those might start the sentence or end it. Dependent clauses you might add on. Those are fragments that would be, they would be fragments on their own, but they can be added to a sentence. You might add more verbs, more actions, and more complements describing the actions or describing what the action is taken upon. And you can even add another sentence to it, but you need a conjunction like and or but or a semicolon in place of a period in between them. So don't worry about memorizing these things. I just want you to know that there's a basic form of a sentence with those 2 or 3 parts. They always have to have a subject and verb. You need those to have a complete sentence. Usually fragments are missing a subject or missing a verb. And then you can also add some more stuff.
And American English has a very strong preference specifically for this. British English, which is frequently taught in the Caribbean, does not.
Oh, tell me more about that.
Well, it tends to be more open to kind of passive voice, longer sentences, right? And Spanish and Portuguese in particular are, I wouldn't say exactly hostile to this structure, but it's the sentence structure tends to be very, very different. It tends to involve much, much more passive voice, things being done. The classic example in Spanish is se me olvidó las llaves, right? Or se me olvidó la llave, right? The key forgot itself to me. So it's not actually your fault.
Oh, okay.
It's the key's fault.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you've heard
Can you
things.
say it again?
Se me olvidó la llave.
Or what I would say is, yo olvidé mi llave.
Yeah, but you would say, but that's one of the ways you can tell you were raised in the United States, because what you said is, I forgot my key.
You know, in the other countries, the key forgot itself to me. So, like the key got legs and say, all right, I stick in myself to the table and walk out the door.
So how do you say it again? How do you say it?
Se me olvidó la llave. Se me
Yeah.
olvidó la, se me olvidó, right? It's technically, the key forgot itself to me.
Reflexive verb, right?
It's a reflexive verb, the key forgot
remember.
itself to me.
High school Spanish.
Yeah. Okay. So, a colleague of mine who was in a PhD program at Yale in Spanish once said to me that they had an assignment in class that was to write a paragraph. And then they were supposed to go back and double the number of, they had to write a paragraph in Spanish. Then they were to go back and write a paragraph that was double the size, but with no additional meaning.
I believe French is similar too,
Yep.
in that they prefer sentences that are very elaborate, whereas English really wants more straightforward.
American English one, right, especially kind of journalistic
Yeah.
reporting, things like,
Sure.
and then they had to do it twice, so that the paragraph was like ultimately 3 or 4 times as long as what they started with, but there was no additional meaning, right? So, and it's really kind of an 18th, if you go back to 18th or 19th century American English, so if you look at Hamilton, right, and the Federalist Papers, like, they go on forever.
My thesis is on Charles Dickens, who was writing in the 1800s.
Yeah.
Extremely long sentences.
Yep.
I believe you guys could actually do that exercise with English, considering the last paragraph that we looked at had like 4 times as many words as we needed.
Oh, yeah. You know, you most certainly could.
And verbs in English, you don't always need an active form. You can do sometimes passive, but it is important in formal school writing to try and do active when possible. That needs a whole other workshop, so I'm not going to go into it right now.
No, we won't, but
just know that you do need a verb in every sentence, and you do need a subject in every sentence.
Oh, we could have lots of workshops, but sentences that give me a headache were the topic for today.
All right, so let's talk about headache sentences. What's too much in a sentence? So, extra words or phrases in there. I decided that I would think about it. Now before, go back. All right, well, you saw my answer, but what would we choose here? You might have even more to change.
I thought about it.
Okay, good. I thought about it. That's even better than what I wrote. All right, you want to see my answer? Go right ahead.
I have another one.
Yes.
I'll think about it.
I'll think about it.
Although
Okay,
that's not-
changing to future tense. Although the would there is future tense. The decided is the main verb of the sentence. That's the action that I took. But that combines a new subject. I would think it's sort of in the future. It's it's one of those weird tenses about it. Okay, good. So I just changed that I would to just to. I decided to think about it, but I thought about it is good too. All right, next one. All right, she did her presentation all about sentences, which was a fascinating topic. What can we take out of here?
I would change this to her presentation was about sentences, which was a fascinating topic. Oh, every time I try and do it, I change the tense.
Nope, that was still past tense. That was good. Go ahead.
She did, she did a presentation on a fascinating topic about sentences. I don't know the last part, but that's the direction I would take.
That's good. You removed the extra verb that is at the last part of the sentence. Okay. Any more suggestions? There's no wrong answers here unless you're forgetting a subject and verb. I mean, even if you give a wrong answer, we can edit it to be grammatically correct.
Her fascinating presentation was about sentences.
Wonderful. I love it. All right, let's see what my answer was. She presented about. So did her presentation, that verb has a little extra helping verb there. Did a presentation. So just to take a more specific verb to present and put the past tense on that instead. And then I took out all, just about sentences. Then instead of which was, I put a personal favorite piece of punctuation, a dash there, which kind of takes the place of some words if you wanted to. And then a fascinating topic. All right, another one, repetition. This one should be easy. Go ahead. The class today was about particle physics.
Oh, can you move my...
It was a great class. What do we do here?
Today's class was about particle physics, comma, it was great.
Good.
Or semicolon, right?
Yeah, semicolon,
Yeah,
because you have a new subject, a new verb, it was.
Oh, right.
So instead of a comma, semicolon, but good. I think that's pretty similar to the answer I had.
Today's class about particle physics was great.
Okay, good.
Even better.
Yes. All right.
Everybody, this happens to everybody,
Yes.
okay? Absolutely everybody. And a friend of mine now, who is now retired, but was the one of the editors for Duke University Press, said that pretty much everyone, because they have specific word limits, right? That pretty much everyone could take a word out of a sentence. And that's how you can get down below the word limit or page limit that they want.
I've been doing this for years, helping people with their papers for years, and I still need help removing extra pieces from mine every time.
Oh, it's much easier to help somebody.
Yeah.
Much easier to fix somebody else's than to fix your own.
I have a
To
question.
fix your own is like impossible.
Oh, I have a funny way of writing, so like I write and edit at the same time, and then I do a final edit. Or I will send it to someone to proofread, but it takes me longer to write because as I'm typing the sentence, I've made 3 or 4 edits already.
Yeah, I do the same. I have a workaround that I'll talk about later. Yes, your
I
question.
used to do
Yeah.
that when I typed on a typewriter. I have a hard time doing it on the
That's
computer.
Yeah, my question was, you know that previous example we used, like the pronoun sentence?
Yes.
Do you recommend to start with that, so then you get all your ideas out, and then like dissect it, and then like take the main points from what you
Yep,
want?
that's exactly what I was
Okay.
mentioning there. I'll talk to you about your process rather than worrying about all this first. This I'm starting with it because it's what the presentation is about, but this is a
'Cause this is
later
what I
order thing to do. We won't worry about this when we're drafting.
Oh,
All right, next slide, please. All right, how can I be more concise? So here it is. First, you draft. I'll tell you my process. I write everything that I'm thinking. Well, first I outline. I don't even need complete sentences. I need my ideas down first. I
That's
get all my
the
evidence
key.
in there and I cite I make sure I know what citation is going to be. And then I draft, pull on my ideas from the outline and I rearrange them into paragraphs, actual paragraphs, and I write my 4 or 5 line long sentences. And I mark things that I want to edit later. So this has been a struggle, and this is something that I've only started doing recently. But I started putting brackets, like a pair of square brackets around words that I know I want to change, but I don't have time to do it right now. Phrases, words, entire sentences. That way I have all my ideas down first, and then when I go back, I can do like a Control F search for brackets, and I can see every time where I wanted to change something but didn't have the mental energy to do it at that moment.
That's a really good idea.
It has been so good.
oh, I must try it because my issue is either when I'm typing the sentence, because it comes out very long, and I'm either cutting it in half, making a new sentence, or there's a phrase I'm not sure is grammatically correct. So I end up taking time, mental energy that I don't have to fix the grammatical error, go on, and then return to the next sentence.
And it takes you so long to get through a first draft, and it's really stressful. So it takes some of the stress out and puts it on a future view. But the present you just has to write the ideas down. You can do the brackets thing, which helps me when I'm like searching. You can do it bolding so that you like your eyes go right to it. You can highlight, you can color code, anything you like. And it also helps if you're bringing your draft to a writing tutor, for example. It brings their attention to what you want to focus on too, so they don't have to like hunt and search for things to change.
So you also had a really good idea for a student, I heard, of highlighting in yellow the topic sentence of,
Oh, yes.
you know, the first sentence of a paragraph, so that it draws your attention to what the paragraph is supposed to be about, right? So that's more organization than editing, but, right?
Yeah, highlighting that first piece of bread in your paragraph sandwich can help you. So you don't have to search each paragraph for the meaning. You have the meaning ahead of time. Sometimes I also will mark a paragraph with just like a blurb, not even a full sentence, just a couple words about what the paragraph is about, so I don't even have to read the whole topic sentence. It seems like more work having to write more in, but it's less work reading and understanding.
No, I see how it works because I know people like me. When we write something, sometimes we can't sit there too long to write it, so we do it in bursts.
Yeah.
So then the first 5 minutes of the second burst, we spend, right, what the hell am I typing? So we end up rereading at least the last 3 to 4 sentences. Okay, this was what I was going on, and continue the train of thought.
Right. But that's why an outline is really important. Because you go, where was I in the outline? Right, and you pick up where you were in the outline. But sometimes also when paragraphs get really long or sentences are kind of long and unclear, you get so lost in the sentence that by the end of the paragraph, you're not really sure what you're doing,
Yeah.
right?
That's true.
in that case, I would say, look through this paragraph, see where you want to split it up by idea. Let's put a new topic sentence in there, in the middle. All right.
So I often say, like, the paragraph changes lanes without signaling, or the paper changes lanes without signaling, kind of thing, right?
That's a good
Cool.
metaphor. All right, so you're drafting first, then you're going back. Here's some ideas of things to remove. So we did this in real time. You don't always know exactly what the name of the type of word is, but helping verbs, we did to remove a passive voice and make it instead active. So verbs like is, was, be, have, things like that. If you take a look at the main verb and you can put the tense on there, then you can remove an extra verb. Extra description, I think you guys were really good at finding which words were not necessary to describe something that's already described. Repeated words and phrases, we looked at some of those. Control F, find is really helpful if you have a word on the brain and you keep writing it in every sentence because you really like that word. Control F, look for that word, see how many times you put it in your paper and remove some of them or replace some of them. Yeah. All right, let's do some practice sentences. First one, please. I went to the party, which lasted all day, then I went home and I slept. What do we do with this? Well, first, what's wrong with it? Everything.
Sounds like it was fun, though.
Yeah. Well, we'll see. I went to the party, which lasted all day. Then I went home and I slept. What do we have too much of?
I, for one.
Mm-hmm. I don't have answers that I wrote for this, so anything that you think should be taken out, I'm going to agree with, mostly.
I know you said there's no right answer, but in this case, would it be better to have one sentence?
I went to the all-day
I guess I should have said
party,
no wrong answer. So yes.
went home and slept.
Mm-hmm.
So went would have a comma in front of it. I went to the all-day party,
Mm-hmm.
went home, and
Then
slept.
went home
Good.
Then went home
and
and slept.
slept.
I like that. So you got the commas in there between, so you remove the extra subject I,
Mm-hmm.
remove the then because we have a list of things that we're doing, and put the commas in between. Great. So we
And
got
the which lasted.
we got the the more verbs, but we don't need subjects to go along with them because we already know that this sentence is about I. Great. Good job. All right. They decided to have a party that was a big dinner with a holiday celebration theme. I can see you getting headaches. We can remove things, we can replace things to make it more specific. Like
They
what holiday?
decided to have a big dinner party with a holiday theme.
Good. Holiday theme. What
So-
holiday?
I don't know,
Yeah, you'd have to specify if you're writing about this.
but
event that
holiday
you
and
went to.
celebration seems like you don't need both.
Right.
It's like an
Did you
oxymoron.
say it was a dinner party?
A dinner party.
Say like they decided to make the dinner party a
I mean, a
holiday
big
theme.
dinner party would be a banquet, wouldn't it?
Yeah,
Yes.
you can bring in a synonym.
So a party and a big dinner, is that a banquet or?
I guess that's
Or is there
without.
such
I guess we can't make that assumption because we don't have the information, right?
Whoever's writing this would have that information,
Right.
hopefully. So yes, this is
They
an
decided
exercise
to
in
hold-
creative writing.
They decided to hold a banquet with a holiday theme
Perfect.
or a holiday themed banquet?
Even better. You use that descriptor as a adjective before your noun.
And sell tickets.
Yeah.
I suppose it depends on if we're like at our house. Yeah.
Yeah. Whoever's writing this, I'd tell them I want more details. Who are these people?
It's missing.
What holiday is it? What did they serve?
The idea makes sense, but at the same time, it's vague.
Right. Good. It wasn't really all that fun, but at least there was a cute little dog there.
Okay.
Cool.
Okay. It wasn't that fun.
Mhm.
However, there was a cute little dog.
Mm-hmm. This one I added kind of is a trick one because it's grammatically perfectly fine, but there's just extra words.
You don't need to really in there, right?
Right, you don't need really.
Is it bad to ever say really?
No, depends on the assignment and if you really need it.
Because whenever I use like really or something, it always like in Google Docs, it
Ah.
suggests me to remove it.
Yeah, you'd have to test it on a case-by-case basis.
Okay.
Usually you can remove it.
Yeah, that's what I figured. Like
If
I
you-
could,
Yeah,
but then it always has a little red under like scribble under.
yeah. Helpful, sometimes the algorithm knows. If the word coming after really is descriptive enough on its own, then
Okay.
you could probably remove really.
Okay, that makes sense.
Oh, I have another one, but
It wasn't fun, but there was a cute.
It wasn't fun.
You didn't need any of that.
It wasn't fun, but there was a cute little dog.
Mm-hmm.
But a cute little dog was there. I don't know.
It wasn't
But there
fun
was.
there, but there was a
But
cute dog.
It's not clear what was fun.
A lot
Or
of
not fun.
professors, right, don't want you to start sentences, you'll hear this, they have pet peeves, they don't want you to start sentences with it or there, because they want you to be really specific. You can say,
now I get that, but at the same time, I will use it only if the previous sentence has addressed the subject and it's a
Yeah.
Right.
continuation.
So one of the problems is it's sometimes difficult to be certain exactly what you're referencing.
good,
So the party, the dinner party, the banquet wasn't fun, but there was a cute little dog,
mm-hmm.
Right.
except for the cute little dog. So we've gone to the big dinner party with the holiday celebration theme, but it was boring, except for the little dog.
Right.
Okay, good, what you just said about it referring back to something that we know about, and that's when you use it, that is perfect, that's called, I think that's the pronoun with the referent coming before it.
Yeah.
It being the pronoun, now we know what it refers to. If we started a sentence with she and we didn't know who she was, it would be the same issue.
Okay, right.
So, good. All right. Here's my references. You guys did really well with editing down these sentences and paragraphs. I can send this to Professor Mahoney.
Yeah, that'd be great.
That second one is a really good, I mean, they're both really good. They got exercises and more examples to look at.
I have a couple, that Amanda sent me
Yes,
a
probably
while
that second
ago
one is
that I
one of
have
them.
posted, and there's some great examples of wordy sentences, because it was and I posted on the Blackboard pages of my, I post them on the Blackboard pages for my classes.
Good.
So
Yeah.
it's just good exercise. And it's good exercise for me too, because
Yes.
I realize that
As
when
I
we
said.
speak, very often we speak and what comes out on the page. And because we can erase it so easily, we think it's not a big deal, but then students get, or the rest of us also get overwhelmed in terms of time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And the next thing you know, you've just turned in the paper that has the language that you were going to go back and revise.
Right. What I have noticed with the students that come to me is that our style of online writing, which lately doesn't have punctuation, it's totally fine. I mean, writing online is not being graded, and if people know what you're talking about, but it's kind of leaking into paper writing, and that sentence
More
just
than
continue.
leaking.
Oh, no,
More
it's
than
because
Without periods in between, I don't know where one sentence ends and the next one starts, so self-editing that way with these tips. can be very
And so I never, about the last 5 years, maybe 6 years, I've had papers, not universal, right, but like every semester, especially in the first year students, sentences with no punctuation, lots and lots of emails that are, and students get like, no, she doesn't want you to email her like you're their friend. Like, I'm not their friend.
Ah.
I mean, I love you guys all to pieces. I do. but I'm your professor and I'm your boss. I'm not your best. I'm not your best. How you text each other,
That's fine.
as long as you don't like violate any really bad rules, it's fine with me. But how you got right? No, seriously.
That's something that depends on the professor. But to be safe, try and be formal.
I have a question.
Yes.
Kind of relates back to one of the examples where it started as it wasn't really fun.
Mhm.
So you know how we're using it wasn't. You might be able to help with this, but is there like universal not to use like contractions like that, or is that more like?
Oh, you know the word contractions, very good. Depends
yeah.
on the assignment. So if the assignment is about you and your professor is like, be as casual as you like, go for it. If not stated, try not to.
Try not to.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's like pretty. There's kind of universal base on not using it.
Yeah.
It's
Okay.
like the general unspoken rule. When they say don't type as you speak, I mean contractions, unless you know the person very well and you guys all have this understanding,
Mhm.
you can use it, but otherwise, no contractions.
In email, I don't care. In written papers,
Thanks.
I try to encourage students to use sort of language that you might see in the New York Times or the New Yorker, or just kind of clarity and sort of straightforwardness. I don't mind if students use like my research shows or I show, because you're doing the research.
Me, sometimes okay. Again, if you can't avoid it, I would. What you never want to do is speak directly to the reader using you, your, and yours.
Right. The other thing that I really I find students do a lot is everybody knows or nobody knows. And that actually is more of a reflection on you than it is, because you haven't done the research to know what everybody does or doesn't know.
That's
Yeah.
a claim that you'd want to back up with evidence, and if you can't, then just
Right.
cut it.
Right, or a claim like throughout time. So I teach history and students are constantly, throughout time, you'd be like, really? That's a very, very long time. And those kinds of phrases, yeah, you wanna kind of catch. But what I'm starting to notice is kind of serious challenges with capitalization and punctuation.
Okay. Well,
And
first
just,
drafts, I don't care about your capitalization. Look back at it and make sure that you are going through sentence by sentence, and then you'll capitalize. The thing about the New York Times, I often suggest that students try and model what they see in their textbooks or articles that they have to read. And
which
once
can be boring.
I mean,
yeah.
they always say, I need a claim for this, but or evidence. Readers make good writers. So once you pick it up after reading articles, and
Once you do a lot of reading.
mimic it.
How about you say you're reading, but what about listening to like podcasts? I know that's not necessarily the same as reading, but would that be still like?
When you're listening, if it's podcasts, they're having a conversation, which isn't the same kind of language as we're using in writing.
Okay.
If you're listening to an audiobook, it can help, especially with like vocabulary and
What if you're listening
constructions.
to like kind of a technical conversation?
I'd say those are more instructive for content than style.
Yeah, like that's why if you need certain jargon for a research paper, but you don't know it to use. You see TED Talks or conversation podcasts like that have the jargon, and you can learn and understand what this means to put in your paper.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that like watching it to like refer to that type of writing, but I'm just feeling like picking up on that jargon will make it like beneficial to use.
Oh, for sure.
That's what I was thinking.
Instructive podcasts and TED Talks and everything are great to listen to, but you're not going to be able to hear what the periods are.
That's true. Yeah, I got that down.
What I really love is an audiobook that you also have the text version to. You know how in grade school, you'll take turns reading out loud, then reading along and silently. That's perfect practice for both understanding the vocabulary in your ear and also seeing how it's written. So if you have an audiobook and you also have a text version, reading along is really good.
But also practicing. So one of the things that I did at institutions before I came here was students would often like read passages here students hate it. And many struggle with vocabulary. So it's good to kind of read some of those things and then practice saying it or reading it or speaking the words, because when you become a professional, you're going to need to present those kinds of things verbally. That's part of the reason why why you guys are introducing people and not me. Right? Because frankly, practice makes perfect. Yeah, and we all need to practice things. Otherwise, I wouldn't have put CCSU in New Haven the other day. And I did practice that. Not putting it in New Haven. I made a presentation and I apparently said, you know, welcome to Central Connecticut State University here in New Haven. Where I was sitting in that room right there, and it was written down, I knew, right? When I got to the English version, I did say New Britain, but in the Spanish version, apparently I said New Haven.
Oh yes, sí, they put it. Sí, sí.
Did you hear me?
I think so, yes.
Oh,
Coronado told me, Dr. Coronado and I had lunch afterwards, and he said, did you catch yourself? I'm thinking, what did I say? What did I do? Like, I left the microphone on and I swore in the background. I mean, like, what did I do? It was like, no, you said Central was in New Haven.
I hadn't caught it until later on, and then afterwards in the English book, yep.
So I'm just gonna have to edit it out.
no big deal. If it's out loud,
Well,
anything can happen.
it was recorded in front of the president.
I see. Okay.
Right.
So
All right.
anyway,
Bye.
so Emily, thank you so much. This is Millie Guzman Young, our university assistant,
Hi, nice
who
to
is
meet you.
who's like one of the best editors in English I've
Oh,
ever
really?
met.
Okay.
I don't know.
Would you be willing to look over my thesis?
I keep telling her that, you know, she should consider some of this and then charge, but she's actually
can.
very good at it.
Freelance tutoring is, you can get a lot for that.
Thank you so much.
Thank you
Thank
guys
you.
so
So
much
thank
for
you.
having
It
me
was
here.
nice to meet you in person, Emily. This was great. So,
I just wanted to let you know, I didn't get a chance to introduce myself. I'm Henry Jernari. I'm the English writing tutor from Trio SFS.
Oh, okay.
So I just wanted, I'm the Ferrero, the director, couldn't be doing the talk today. But, you know, we just wanted to have a presence here and about the job. Keep us in mind in case any students.
Yeah, so my,
Yeah, definitely.
I believe our association is on here.
Yeah,
Thank you.
We're eager to work with,
Awesome,
with
yeah.
same students, you know, and anything like that.
Great, nice to
So-
meet you.
Thank you.